Minority Arts Appreciation Society, where we're ticking all the boxes. I'm Matty, and I lead the film discussions.
Whoa, slow down. I think you missed the box. Welcome everyone to our first Switcheroo episode. Today,
That's
today I will be hijacking the film headquarters and leading a film discussion. And we're gonna do this every 10 episodes, pretty much. It's like in Pokemon when you go out into the bushes and you get attacked by a little rat. That's me. I'm the rat. So here we go. So today we're talking about High School Musical 1 and 2, directed by. Wait, I want to get this right.
I thought you were. Wait.
Kenny Ortega. I have respect for Kenny Ortega, and I want to mention him. He directed these films. You know, he introduced Zac Efron to Jim Carrey. I discovered in an interview. So I mean, big guy.
Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his.
And yeah, we're gonna be talking about these films. So before we get to that,
This is a thing that is happening.
I always want Disney Plus a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, I, I'll start with how I felt about Disney Plus. So it was a meme. Like I wanted to be on it as a meme. And like the initial moment when I was on it, I had a bit of a oh wow, there's actually stuff on here that like I do want to watch. However, after like 5 minutes of scrolling, it kind of that feeling went away. And I feel like if I was a kid, this would be really amazing, but I don't think this is a substantial streaming service unless you're like really into Disney, or a child.
It doesn't have those like not hidden gems, but those just like I know Netflix is far from perfect and Amazon Prime is probably better, but Netflix has a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh cool, that's on here. And that happens a lot more than not, I would say. Whereas this is like I don't know, it's just this huge big everything's a big budget like Hollywood Western thing, and that's great, but also at the same time a whole streaming service for that's exhausting.
I think the problem is we've seen all of these films. Like we grew up with, like it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand they're holding our childhood hostage, and it's like you have to pay to go back. On the other hand, yeah, I've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, I've seen Avatar, I've seen the Marvel films. Like they're cool, but I've seen them. I don't need this. Again, if I had like a 6-year-old kid who hadn't seen any of this, then yeah, this would be really fun to put on for them.
Yeah,
they'd love it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it for a little bit, and you're free to use it too if you want to watch like The Simpsons, and I want to watch that Star Wars show, Mandalorian.
Yeah. Nice.
The Mandalorian candidate.
And
there are like
that was so terrible.
There are like a couple of Pixar films like Incredibles 2 and Coco that I missed, which would be fun to watch because they're meant to be good.
Don't forget about The Good Dinosaur.
Which I'm not. I'm staying far away from that. Yeah, I think one thing I'm disappointed about is, okay, this is a Disney streaming service, so you better have every single thing Disney ever made.
Yeah,
and they do not have The American Dragon, which is one of my favorite Disney cartoons. So what the fuck? What are you doing, huh?
This is not planned. I have just now realized they have a lot of Muppets content, and I have no more problems with this streaming service. I'm not. Sick. No, I'm fine.
I think another thing, I've got a show. There's some National Geographic shows which I want to watch. Brain Games with Keenan Key.
Oh, what?
I don't know what it is, but I want to watch. It looks fun, and the one according to Jeff Goldblum, I can't lie, I'm probably gonna watch that. That looks kind of lit. Gonna rewatch Ratatouille. That looks great. I never saw Inside Out. I need to watch that as well. That looks fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I
That's all the feelings I have. I've
Yeah,
never.
it's just a bit of a monument, really, and it's kind of
Yeah,
overwhelming.
it
Is
feels like
how I
after
feel.
3 months you'd run out of stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. Anywho, let's jump into our discussion. I'm gonna do an impromptu, kind of like synopsis of the film. Uh, Troy Bolton is you know, the most popular kid in school. You know, everyone wants to be him. Everyone wants to be with him. He's a basketball player, hotshot. You know, one day though, on a skiing trip, he through wacky hijinks ends up in a karaoke um, situation, and turns out he's also a brilliant singer. This is how he meets Gabriella, and then throughout the film, most of the conflict revolves around these two characters. You know, Gabriella's a mathslete, if you will, and you know Troy's a hip basketball player. But both of them really want to sing, but you know they feel contained in their little cliques, and the film's about them trying to break free, if you will. So yeah, that's the plot synopsis. Um, what's your history with High School Musical 1?
Well, um, this is, I think, like every generation gets like a monumental like piece of nostalgia. Um, and you could argue that we had the Harry Potter films. But I think this is a strong contender. Like this, like rewatching this today, I think I probably watched this maybe twice as a kid, and it still transported me back to like this fucking era of High School Musical, and it's just a TV movie from Disney 15 years ago. It's crazy. Um, yeah, I'm gonna tell you this now, Josh. When I had the High School Musical Sing It game on PS2 with
Holy
those
shit,
microphones.
dude!
I
I
was
had okay, go on.
no, but I was, I was a young, what I thought boy. I was insecure about my deep passion for singing along to High School Musical songs because when I picked up that mic and sung Bet on It, I felt amazing. But I wasn't ready yet to admit that to myself.
Mm.
But yeah, so I do have quite I do have an attachment to this. I do feel like everyone our age kind of does to some extent. Like you have been around this and you have probably enjoyed it on some level.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say, and this is astonishing because yeah, it's a TV movie. I think this is the biggest musical of the 2000s, like in cinema. um,
Yeah,
outside of like Wicked in Broadway, which was big in Broadway, like as like a film, like this is the Sound of Music of the 2000s, if that makes sense. Like everyone watched it, and it was a huge musical. I have like a weirdly similar history to you. I was a mega fan of High School Musical when I was young. I watched it premiere night. 6 years old. Disney Channel were advertising it. Oh, High School Musical premiere, and like I knew it was a big deal somehow. Like it seemed important. I really wanted to. I was like, Mom, you got to drive home. I got to be home by 6. I got to see High School Musical. It's coming out. I really loved it like that first night. And yeah, I'm a guy, and you know, that it was always a weird point of tension for me. Like I always felt this weird shame for liking High School Musical. Like I was worried it would make me gay, which is the worst thing you could be when you're 7 years old. You know, what prime school is like. Um, and and yeah, there was this. I remember there was this one night where I think for some reason I had like my mum would always buy me like annual books of stuff she knew I liked, like Doctor Who annual book. You know those books where you could color in and like there's stickers and.
yeah,
So I had
those are
like
dope.
I had like the High School Musical one, and it had like trivia of the characters and well, a bunch of. I don't even remember what was in it, but I remember I was reading it once, and I was like, I just really like High School Musical, and I'm just gonna accept this, not pretend that I don't like it because I don't want to be made fun of. So like that was a huge moment for me in like accepting my supposedly more feminine traits and like embracing them rather than being ashamed of them.
Hmm.
So this is a weirdly formative film for my identity. Um anyway, upon return, upon what did you make of this? How did you feel about that?
Well, Josh. Um, this was this was kind of phenomenal. Um, it, I will say is I recently spoke to you about feeling like in a funk with like consuming media right now and art because like we're just like now we're stuck inside all the time. It just feels a bit less like valuable and I hate feeling that way. Um but I just felt burnt out. This like this I have problems with this and I'm going to take it seriously. Like this is a film and it will be discussed as such. And this film got me out of my funk. It was fun. It was charming. It was, and you know what? It had a heart. It had a heart. Um, and I really appreciated that. There is so much to talk about with this film. As I mentioned to Josh already, my notes are look like they could have been made by Jack Torrance. They're horrifying. Sometimes when I was particularly baffled, I'd write words that covered multiple lines. Um, Particular favorite of mine is "What garage?" Um, and yeah. So I hope that encapsulates how I feel enough because I have a lot to get into here.
Um, I'm at a very similar place to you. I thought this would just be a goofy, fun, nostalgic, campy droid ride, and but overall, I'd admit, oh, this isn't a very good film, and I was silly for liking it as a kid. I was surprised that I feel like this is a real movie, and I liked it. I think it's quite a good film. I have problems with it, like you do as well, but I can't commend it enough for actually feeling like a real film. Looking through Disney Plus, I was like, what other films can I nostalgically watch? And I was looking at all these really shitty Disney original films
Yeah.
that Camp Rock, the Cheetah
Oh
Girls,
God,
uh,
yeah.
uh, I need one more. I need one
They're
more. The
so
Wizards of Waverly Place movie. These are really bad, and I don't even really want to watch them again. I want to keep them at a far distance. But this film, returning to it, really holds up. And even as like a 20-year-old, I think I was so honestly really blown away at like how well it conveyed its themes, that there were themes, and that it was consistent. And also the romance between Gabriella and Troy was really convincing. Often we joke about, still a better love story than Twilight. But this is a better love story than Twilight. Like a big
damn.
criticism of Twilight is why do they love each other? I don't get it. Here, every romance scene they have is both of them talking about their like existential angst and their identity issues, and they like each other because they identify with that in each other, and they bring their more authentic selves out of the other. Like I was like, wow, this is like a convincing romance and kind of what should be a schlocky Disney Channel original TV movie, and I was
Yeah.
very impressed by that.
Damn. Yeah, you've actually changed my mind there because I kind of didn't see them connecting that much. But you're right, like the film, yeah, it is intelligent with how it presents its themes. Like it connects them together really well. Like it centers the entire story of the film around this idea of like self-actualization and being afraid to like accept who you really are. And then yeah, that's made more powerful by the fact that that's also what brings the couple together. Damn, I actually hadn't thought about that. That is actually kind of like smart. Um there this film while it has some clarity, it is also a borderline surrealist comedy at points for me, and I don't know if it was all intentional. As I previously referred to, there is a garage at one stage, and Troy is sneaking to class,
Yeah.
um, and he just like no, he's sneaking to the audition, sorry, and he just wanders into like a huge car garage, and it's nothing. But I feel like the film didn't. It wasn't there to be like, ha, this is wacky, isn't it? There's a car garage. I I really feel like in the world of this school, there is a car garage there, and and that's normal.
Yeah, I wonder if these films are trying to make it feel like you're watching a stage play at points of like seamlessly moving through really different sets. Like the second film has a similar moment where they're in a kitchen and then right in the next room is like the piano where Kelsey's playing, and it's like why is there a
Yeah.
piano room connected to the kitchen? So I wonder, yeah, if it's going for that, it's meant to feel like a set.
And like at the end, when they transition right from the like from soaring flying to the basketball game, like
Mm.
when they like the stage lifts, literally they're on the stage and the background lifts up and it's like the basketball game is there. It was genuinely like really well done. Like it like it was, you could see what they were going for. And it was like you knew that it wasn't literally in the same place, but it, yeah, you're so right. It really captured that feeling of like the fluidity of a well put together stage performance. Um, but yeah, did you find this film baffling at all?
I think it definitely takes on a heightened tone. Like I think I really one thing I really commend this film for, and I think the second film takes a bit too far at points, is the way I feel like the actors here got really good direction. Like I feel like is his name Kenny? What's his name? Yeah,
Kenny Ortega.
Kenny. Kenny Ortega. He really I can imagine like them doing a take and him being like, that was good, but I want you to make it bigger. Like I want you to be a
Hmm.
cartoon. And I feel like that really sells a lot of this film and makes it work for me. Like, I love the larger than life feel it has, and everyone's so operatic in everything they say. Um, and I guess before we get like, I really want to say what I was surprised about the themes in this film is I really feel like there is like you said about identity. I feel like it plays around with the idea of like binaries and like social constructs a lot. Like, um, the way I kind of read this film is you have the basketball team, which are very masculine, clearly portrayed as like this is masculinity, and that's like very bodily, right? And then the science team, there's a scene where the girls are trying to convince her not to date Troy, and they show her a list of like the female scientists and mathematicians that came before her, um,
Yeah.
and this idea of like mind and that being more a girly feature and being constrained in that, and that I mean, and these are like binary oppositions. You can't leave one to the other, like the masculine and the feminine, and where the music, what the musical embodies with like Sharpay and her brother, who's like, yeah, her brother's clearly queer coded. The
Yeah.
musical is an area where everyone can come together. The binaries can all dissolve, and we can all just like revel in masculinity, femininity, and we can be free. That's why the last song is called "Breaking Free." And I thought that was a really beautiful message and really well told, and it felt purposeful. Like I don't feel like I'm doing a pretentious reading Derrida into Shadow the Hedgehog. I feel like this actually happened. Like I feel like that's what Kenny wanted to say, and I thought that's really well executed.
Yeah, like it's really sweet in the end where you see them, like it's so corny, but it's also like really lovely to see everyone accepting of it. And the film like uses the heightened world of musicals really well to that effect. Um I do love the dance number, or just the musical number where um yeah, they're in the canteen and everyone's talking about what they secretly like, um and how it's not okay, and like the hook, the chorus is so catchy, um them saying like no, be quiet, no more of that, and it's, yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind
stick
of,
to the status quo.
yeah, exactly, yeah, oh my god, it's so infectious. And like I think portraying like I think portraying the ideas like that in such a sort of catchy, melodic way really brings you into the film a lot. Also, I want to shout out my men Chad and Zeke, who are the high. I love them in these films.
Dude,
Particularly Chad in the second one. I find him ludicrously charming.
yeah,
I
he's a bro.
I remember when I was a kid, I thought he was the fucking coolest. Like I loved his hair and like the
Yeah.
necklace he wore. Like I was like, that guy is that, he's literally called Chad.
Yeah, and I think if you read these films as like Chad is gay and he comes out, he experiments with his sexuality in the second one. I think that makes him a lot more sympathetic in the first film. Of he's clearly in love with Troy and like doesn't want to lose him. Uh,
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm really into that, but I do think the second
No,
one explicitly is definitely queer. Like I think that's I don't think anyone on set was like unsure about that.
this is yeah. There are a variety of readings of this film, and I think this is a film like it's. But yeah, you're right, especially the second one that excessively, inadvertently or not, is open. Like films can only provoke meaning, and this film provokes that reading so intensely. It is hard at points to believe it's coincidence.
Um, And before we move on to like favorite and least favorite tracks, I want to say how I think Sharpay is amazing in this film.
Oh yeah.
Ashley Tisdale does such a great job. I think my favorite Sharpay moment is when Troy is just talking to Gabrielle at the beginning, and Sharpay just like materializes from behind a board. And it's like, oh hi Troy, and it's like really funny and cartoony, and she's such a joy in this film. Second film, I got some issues there, but in the first film, I think
Hmm.
Sharpay joy. Anyway, favorite and least favorite tracks. Let's just jump into it. I'll let you start. What are your three favorite tracks?
I've got them written down. Okay, to begin with, head in the game. I think this is fucking bizarre. It is the instrumental is almost non-existent. It mainly consists of dead-eyed basketball players chanting "Head, get your head in the game, get your head in the game," and it's fucking surreal. I keep using that word, but it's so intense, and really catchy. Like I love the part where they all have basketballs and they're like doing like just really like contorted jerky dance moves with them. It's like you do genuinely feel like the distress of Troy in this moment of like an anxiety riddled basketball practice where just
Mm.
you feel completely wrong. Um but it is yeah really enhanced by this intensely masculine but also like there's always just this slight homoeroticism in this film at the same time of just chanting at this central very effeminate looking person. I think it's amazing. um Second, um the salsa number, it's a bit more of a minus. I wouldn't say it's a
That is an
full.
amazing song. That's an
But
amazing song.
when Ryan comes out and goes mucho gusto,
I yeah, go on.
I remember like with my sisters watching that moment and like dying laughing because we just thought it was the silliest thing on earth, and I had completely forgotten about that. Like so
I think
when he came out and said that, it was fucking insane for me.
I think what I like about that number, and it's consistent. The second one is the film codes Sharpay as being a horrible rich American by constantly culturally appropriating these films, and it's
Yeah.
always really funny and well executed, and a surprisingly sophisticated way to build out her character.
No, I know it's kind of crazy. Like you do like it is this is definitely like satire in this moment. But also like the dance moves are like are pretty crazy and it kind of slaps. Um um and then finally to be more genuine, soaring flying, we're breaking free. That I didn't expect to be genuinely uplifted by that song, but because I did find the second act in this film a bit of a stretch, and the
Mm.
musical numbers there aren't really many in that part. It really slows down and the film gets bogged down in I think some kind of not really plot contrivances, but like just kind of elongating the conflict unnecessarily. And it's a bit annoying. Um, but here the film, like I know it's in the film, like does genuinely really bring me back a lot here. I do think it's a really nice moment. Like the part where Troy, like where Gabriella thinks she can't sing and tries to her, like, "Don't look at the crowd, just look at me." Like, that's lovely.
Yeah,
Like,
I low-key got chills. And he's like, remember
remember
he
kindergarten?
yeah, remember kindergarten. And it's just, and it really goes back to that theme of like, remember a time where we didn't care what people thought about us, when there was no binaries, that it was just have be yourself. And yeah, that was moving.
That's
Yeah.
genuinely like touching. So yeah, I would say it was probably my favorite moment in the film.
Yeah.
It was really great. Also, fucking shout out to to wait, the very last song, the credit song.
Oh,
What
that's fantastic.
it is genuinely like wow.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
What a sick fucking
I think
banger.
I think that's one thing. These first two films, I don't remember the third film. I'm sorry, but these first two films always get right. Is, in my opinion, the emotionally heartfelt duet at the end always really connects with me. I don't. It always gets me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this first film, not so much in the second film. In this first film, final ensemble climax. Aha! What a fun musical song! Like really great here. Gorgeous choreography, amazing, and big I'll go through my favorite tracks. My favorite track is "Stick to the Status Quo." I think this scene so perfectly embodies everything this film is about thematically, and it was really fun to see like a Disney Channel original film doing a deconstruction of what Disney Channel original films are, which is just like high school stereotypes and cliques. Taken very seriously, and here it's like that's really dumb. No one's just a stereotype, and yeah, you get this really funny song. It's just one of the better written songs of this film. Like the Sharpay kind of bridge is really well done. I really love how they incorporate into lots of Sharpay song Ryan trying to sing a line, and then she sings the same line but worded differently to just step on him.
Yeah.
Consistently good characterization in these songs, and yeah, great song.
So it's really grand. Like this, it's
Mm.
so well cool. It's so well choreographed. There's so many people on screen. Like they they are trying. This isn't just a
Yeah.
musical for kids. This is we're gonna get like 50 people on screen and they're going to dance well.
Definitely. I love the joke where what's his name? Chad's friend who bakes.
Zeke. I
Zeke.
love Zeke.
Zeke's like, I bake. They're like, what? And you think it's like a weird thing, and then he's like, I just really like cooking, and it's like, I love
he keeps saying creme brulee. He just
Creme
loves creme brulee.
On the side note, I love how in each film Zeke ends up with Sharpay, but like Sharpay's never with him again in the beginning of the next film. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Sharpay's using Zeke.
Some hot and cold there. She just
Yeah.
wants that. She just wants that creme brulee. Oh.
There is something going on between Sharpay and Zeke. It's really bizarre. Anyway, second up, yeah, Breaking Free. I agree. Beautiful, heartfelt. One thing I noted about this is I loved the color coordination in the scene of like they're both wearing white, and it kind of is going back to this tabula rasa, blank slate. You can be whoever you want to be. There's your blank slate. You can paint onto it whatever you want. And that's a really good way of conveying that. Again, I think this film's really rich in those ways. And yeah, start with something new. I always really love. I think it's a great way to ease you into the musical because at this time musicals are not popular. Like in films, they're just not popular. Like it's cringy, and this is quite brave to have a big musical film that isn't scared of being a musical. So having this like karaoke scene with like this faux sing along screen in the background eases you into it in a really cool way. And I love how it takes place at like a winter lodge that feels so different to the rest of the film. It really gets across that feeling of like it's a nighttime or when you're on holiday and you feel like you can do anything, and then you come back to school and it's like you fall back into the same roles and kind of lose yourself in that routine. So I find that's really cool. And yeah, while we're just saying stuff we didn't like about the film, I agree. I think neither of the films. The second one's way worse than this, but this one is a bit contrived, like how him and Gabriella kind of break up momentarily. And I thought that part was really boring. Yeah, Chad and Taylor like scheme that whole bit was very good in my opinion. But that's the only, and also audition scene could have been cut. It wasn't funny. It went on for too long. I didn't enjoy that at all. But other than that, I really like this film. I think it's really good, and I don't say that ironically. I just think it's really good. So yeah, I'd give this like a pretty good recommend.
I would give this a good recommend. Like you, I don't know, if you aren't able to put a bit of like quite a bit of cheese and corn aside, then you're gonna struggle with this. But also remember that's what this film is about. This film is about just like, come on, like just give it a chance kind of thing. Like, and just being kind of pure. And I think that was something I really found with this film, as I was like, and kind of comes back to what I said about getting me over my funk, was, yeah, it just kind of made me go, hey, this is just a movie, and I am like, I might be kind of cringing at some of the dialogue, but I'm also like having a really great time watching actors who I do believe are having a really great time on set, and there's nice themes going on. Like, if you think you can look past some stuff that you might have become slightly jaded towards now, you'll find something you actually like kind of can connect with and is really sweet. So yeah, I would recommend this.
So yeah, ready to move on to High School Musical 2?
Hell yeah.
All right, all right. So High School Musical 2 is a whole different beast, a whole different beast. And I will give a quick plot summary. School's out. It's the second film. We're hanging out. We're hanging out in Sharpay's
Resort.
resort,
Lava Springs.
Lava Springs, which is what's it called? A club? What is clubs called? Rich white people clubs.
Country clubs.
Country club. It's a country club. And Troy has gotten everyone a job, which everyone's weirdly ungrateful about, or whatever.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
And yeah, but amongst all of this lavish Springs shenanigans, Troy is being noticed by the bigwigs, and that leads to rifts in his friendships and relationships.
I'm not gonna lie, this was a slog. There is a lot about this that I found fascinating and enjoyable and baffling and surprising, just like the first one. But I think you hit a point after about the first hour where I just feel like it keeps repeating itself. Troy keeps flaking on Gabriella. He keeps having to deal with people from university. It just gets really tired. I feel like it becomes a copy of the first one in a way. It is again Troy reckoning with who he is, really. Um, but I feel like the conflict bringing that to light is so weak. Is my main problem with the film. And because I think that's my main problem with the film, because it leads to so many others. In the, like, all that's really going on is he's heading to college in the near future, and he's talking to some people from a university in a summer job, and it's 2 days, and his whole life falls apart. He forgets who he is, and it doesn't feel like, like, oh, I've been there. I was 17 and my life fell apart so easily. It feels like the film is taking it like really serious, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel like really consequential to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I think the first film, even though it's a bit contrived, it has its own internal logic and it works. Like, I understand how Chad could provoke Troy into saying mean things about the Gabriella, and it makes sense that like a 15-year-old kid would say stuff he doesn't really mean just to feel accepted by his friends under pressure. Like, I get that. Whereas here, it's an interesting. It's trying to say something about like class consciousness and like his friends feel like he's become snooty and abandoned them. But
Yeah.
I never believe that when Troy starts being like ordering Chad around, like, ooh, I actually ordered this dish, not that dish, and like sends him back. It's funny, but like I never buy that Troy's gone through this character change. It's really fucking weird. Like he
No.
just like the film never sells its drama, and the way And I really take issue with how this film tries to make Sharpay a pivotal role in Troy's and Gabriella's arc and the story overall. Sharpay should always be a funny comic relief villain. But in this film, there are extended scenes of Sharpay trying to get Troy and hanging out with Troy, and and the fact that it actually affects the plot, I was like, really, like Gabriella really is. And I'm happy that Gabriella doesn't explicitly say, "Oh, you'd be spending time with Sharpay," but like her friend trying to be like, "Oh, look, Troy's with Sharpay a lot," like.
I really hated her friend in that moment.
Yeah, I hated that, and I was like, I hate that Sharpay is becoming pivotal to the plot, and she has like actually just has some really good moments in this film, like almost made me tear up at the end when she says, "I just wish you were doing this for me." Like you do get the sense that she's really lonely and just doesn't know how to connect to people. Um, but the film doesn't get that. The film thinks she's funny foil and doesn't treat her correctly. If you're gonna make her a serious plot point, treat her character with the same seriousness that you treat Gabriella's character. Don't have her be funny, haha, but also the film's plot's gonna pivot on her actions. Doesn't work.
Yeah, and it gets really messy at the end as well. Like she's punished because like everything's falling apart, and she's sort of if you're gonna commit to making Sharpay a plot central character, at this point she's kind of completed her arc. Like Ryan says, and it's really sweet. Like he says, I totally get that you've made everything up now, but I also don't want to see my sister crash and burn. But then you get this really horrible moment where then he goes, "No, you're not performing the song. I've rewritten it, and you're not doing it. Gabriella's doing it." And it leads to a nice ballad duet with Troy and Gabriella. But it was a mess for me. I thought
so weird.
yeah, I was because it is presented as a genuine moment when he says, "I don't want my sister." I genuinely think at moments in the they've just completely lost the plot of what they were writing plot wise. I really think they just went.
And like
"Fuck
at
it."
that point, you actually care about Sharpay because as she says, though, she's given nothing, but she does a lot of that nothing, and I
Yeah.
think she really sells Sharpay's like angst, and like when she's crying, I felt for her. So when Ryan's just like, "Haha, got ya," I was like, "No, I didn't want to. What are you? Why?
Yeah.
That's just really me." The last thing I'll say really is none of the conflict in this film makes sense or is sold well. Like when Gabriella leaves, I honestly felt like rewinding because I couldn't figure out why she was angry at Troy. I
It went downhill so
I
fast.
guess like she's like, "You're wearing Italian shoes. You think you're better than that." I'm like, it's been like 2 days. I'm like, I'm not gonna. If this was like over the course of like a few months, then yeah. But I just didn't understand. And then what's even worse is the first film, even though it has slightly forced breakup thing, which every romance film has to have. It's a
Of
really sweet.
course.
It's a really sweet moment when they do the Romeo and Juliet thing of Troy goes to the balcony and they do like a millennial version where he calls her on the cell phone, on the flip phone, and they have the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. Then he climbs up and he sings to her, and it's like awkward but heartfelt because there's no background music. It's a very real moment for like a heightened film. Here Troy does not earn the ending of this film. I don't understand why Gabriella comes back. Did Ryan bring her back? There should have been a scene where
She just arrives.
yeah, like there should have been a moment where Troy has to do something to show that he cares about her, like or apologize to her. Like that's how you write films. It's very basic, and
Consequence.
I don't understand. The plot of this film's so terrible.
To speak of consequence, yeah, like everything in this film has the consequence it really like shouldn't. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the Italian shoes. Literally one thing he says to Sharpay, like I hate this fucking thing of like I think this like it's genuinely like problematic to show to kids as well. Is like this guy has a girlfriend and he's talking to this other girl about his new shoes and he's a cheater. Like I think that's
a complete gentleman throughout this film. He's really respectful.
Really like nice guy. Like when Sharpay's like, "You're a really nice guy," I'm like, he is a really nice guy. Like he's a bit flawed, you know, but he's 17. Yeah, like and like he obviously doesn't want to be hanging out with Sharpay, but he's still like, hey, do you like my new shoes? Like he's trying to make the situation better.
Mm.
And then
That's
this fucking dickhead Taylor's like, oh my god.
that's a big thing in fiction like this. Like I approach video games with this as well, where like if there's a character who is a female character who's trying to seduce the main character away from their lover, that character, the male character, should still treat that other character with respect. They shouldn't be viewed as some sort of like harlot and like really mean to. You should always still be nice to that person. So like Troy
Yeah.
entertaining Sharpay and not making her feel like shit is so like that's the right thing to do in the situation. So the fact the film like punishes him for it, I just don't get it. And again, it's forced. Of course, he's gonna want to hang out with the famous basketball people, and he brought everyone on the thing and gave them all jobs. Like,
Yeah,
and all they did was complain, and he was like, "Yo, we can work it out. Like, why? Like, this is gonna pay off your cars and scholarships. Like, why are you?" I just don't understand any of the conflict of this film.
the fucking moment where Sharpay's like, she's like, make them not want to work here, so they leave. And he just comes in and says, it's presented cartoonishly, but he just says, hey guys, do your jobs. Like he literally just says like, hey, like you're a cook, you're gonna cook. You're waiting, you're going to bring the dishes to table. Like this isn't fucking the Tsar ordering the Russian people to carry on fighting in World War One here. This is you got a job as a waiter, wait tables, and then they all turn on Troy. Like they were like, "Hey man, you got us this job. Now I have to work. What?" And it's so
dumb.
I like the musical number that comes after it, but it's like Chad is simultaneously amazing in this film and also terrible.
He's not. Yeah. Well, let's just talk about favorite tracks. Like,
okay,
right now.
I need to talk about Schools Out for Summer.
Okay.
I have a compulsive need. This is incredible. I think this is genuinely one of my favorite songs in a musical ever. Fucking, especially like Chad really gets his moment to shine in this. I feel like he's so animated. Like I love it so much, and I feel like that whole number is constantly one-upping itself. Like that fucking bizarre moment where they do like a weird, it's like a close-up of characters, and then they do like a wave, and there's like people behind each other, and then it's just Chad at the end. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's a great mission statement. It tells you like this one's gonna have better music and better choreography. Everything in this one's bigger, more beautiful, and it's such a spectacle. Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, move on. Next favorite, I brought this up earlier. When I was a kid, Bet on It was my favorite song on the High School Musical game. It made me feel so fucking like powerful and like, but not in this like intense, like masculine way, which isn't a negative thing, but in just a completely neutral way, which I think is something that these films do really well. Is it's just people just experience emotions as a blank slate. There's nothing attached to them that kind of taints them. Troy is in full force with his movements. There's a infamous or famous, should I say, hand flick at the start that I'm sorry, I know it was 2007, but you cannot put that in your film and think this isn't slightly queer.
In the behind the scenes, Zac Efron was adamant about this scene that they got it right. And what happened was this took forever to shoot because he kept stopping and be like, no, I have to do it again. I didn't get it right that time. And the director would be like, no, it's fine. He's like, no, it has to be perfect. And then he'd also do like improvisations. Like I think the sand thing was his idea. He's like, wait 1 minute, I gotta pick up the sand. I gotta do it. Like the fact that he just brought his raw genius to this scene, I really appreciate that.
It makes me love it even more because there is like, a rawness to this of just like, this, I know this man just when I have to make this my own. And he really did. He really put his fucking stamp on this. I'll be honest, I had trouble picking a final track. I kind of got like the plot of this film was so muddy that I kind of got lost at where the musical numbers were. I think it's a pacing problem. So I went with work this out. Um, I have to say I'm not too happy with this pick. It was kind of like like I do really like the number, even if the chorus is quite repetitive, to be honest. Because it basically is just Troy repeatedly saying "work out." I think the repetition of the chorus kind of does work though, because part of the reason I love this song is because I do think the conflict of it is ridiculous. Like I said, they're just meant to do their jobs, and so Troy is just going, guys, can we just work this out? That's the way I see this song. Um, and so yeah, I find it really fun for that reason.
Yeah, no, Troy's a top-notch guy. Troy does nothing wrong. But yeah, for me, my favorite track by far is I Don't Dance. Uh, I think this is a really phenomenal track, and this is the moment in the film where I really felt like this was the musical equivalent to action films like Fast and the Furious, Mission Impossible films. They don't really have plots, and the plot is just an excuse to get to the next action scene, which is amazing.
Mm,
The Uncharted games were a bit like this too. Uh,
yeah.
we and this song and moment felt like that, where the film had just nothing to do in its plot. It just really wanted a baseball homoerotic dance number, and it somehow got there, and it was incredible. I love the hip hop bits. I love the part when they throw the bat in the air and they both grab it and gaze into each other's eyes intensely. It's so it's one of those great moments where a Disney director really wants to talk about LGBT issues but can't because they're on Disney, so they have to do like weird shit like this. And somehow it's like more transcendent than if they just had a boring Love Simon kind of plot. Um,
Yeah, through adversity comes art.
Exactly. And then Gotta Go My Own Way. Gabriella killed this one. I really love this song, even though the conflict feels really contrived and dumb and weird. Um, Vanessa Hudgens still really sells it with her performance. I really felt for her, and I was like, "Damn, girl, like you do gotta go your own way." And this isn't good enough. And I love how Troy's bits in the songs are like pleading for, what about us? What about everything we've been through? But what about trust? And it's like, damn.
Damn,
And yeah, there we go. I really
Gabriella
like
brought it back.
she brought it back, and I really like the "You Are the Music and Me" reprise with Sharpay. I like the original "You Are the Music and Me" a lot, but yeah, no, "You Are the Music and Me" reprise. That shit's fucking crazy. Like when Troy's like, "Oh, I don't know about this," and then she just shoots the sprinklers out of the ground, and man, that is a trip. But I'm different to you. I think almost every track here is. I think every track here is amazing. I think Fabulous is hilarious. I fucking love Fabulous
Oh, I
so much.
forgot. How did I forget
When
about
she's
it?
listing where everything she bought is imported from,
That was just genius. Yeah. Overall, this is a tough film. I think I'd give it like a weak recommend.
I'd almost recommend you just skip to the musical numbers
Because I think they're great. And really energetic and fun. I just grin through all of them. But the things stringing the musical numbers together are pretty bad. And not even like funny bad, they're just kind of dull. So yeah, weak recommend.
Um, I I think if I'm gonna go with my gut here, I'm gonna unfortunately say I wouldn't recommend this. Um, like I said, I did find it a slog, and I think if I hadn't been watching this for the podcast, even on the first watch, I would have been skipping to the musical numbers. And I don't. So yeah, I kind of go with what Josh said. But of like if you're gonna watch it, skip to the musical numbers. But I
Yes,
probably
stick
just
to
wouldn't.
what you know.
Yeah, I don't think I'd recommend it for that reason. Which is a shame. Because I really really enjoyed the first one, and I do enjoy seeing these characters. But also, I'm not really seeing these characters. I feel like
So I think we've ticked all the boxes.
I think we have.
So I hope you had fun, Matty, on this first Switcheroo episode.
I did. You're a natural film host.
Thank you. I'm surprised you liked the film so much. I was expecting blood. Anyway, so I'll announce next week's review. Next week we're going to be jumping into the dark fantasy era of Kanye, a much different tone to High School Musical. Yeah, so next week we'll be talking about 808s and Heartbreak, and maybe dark fantasy, but we'll see if that gets cut into two. Um, but definitely 808s and Heartbreaks. So listen along, join us. I think the dark fantasy era is probably
overall like the most interesting era of Kanye to talk about. So I'm super excited. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll catch you next week. I hope you. Well,
I think blood's gonna be spilt.
I'm looking forward. So, Mandy, I give you back the mantle for the film reviews.
Ah,
I will leave your domain. I will leave your headquarters.
thank you,
Thank
kind
you for having
sir.
me.
Oh, you're very welcome. We were blindsided at first here that the International Corporation of uh Minority Film Reviews, but we'd love to have you back soon. And I'll be making a trip over to your side very, very soon.
Awesome. Well, ta-ta, everyone. Catch you next week of 808s and Heartbreaks.
If you're watching on YouTube and you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It does actually help us out. Again, with Spotify or Google Podcasts or anything like that, follow us there as well. And we've got social media. We have our Instagram at Minority Arts Podcast with an underscore between each word. Sounds complicated, but it's really not if you think about it. And Twitter the same. It's just at Minority Arts Podcast, no underscores. But yeah, just follow us there and you'll get updates on what episodes we're doing and just us kind of goofing around sometimes. Yeah, thanks very much for listening.
Yeah. Uh, remember, we're all in this together.